Warning, the following video spoils everything in the Dark Continent arc currently revealed. Yu Yu Hakusho, an old series by Yoshihiro Togashi, was cut short by Shonen Jump's absurd expectations of chapter releases, and Togashi's unfortunately fickle health. Togashi wrapped the series up very quickly, and released a tell-all letter which exposed his issues and his inability to write upon these deadlines with his back condition. The letter is morbid and depressing, but I encourage all fans of his to give it a read. It would be a while until he committed to a long-form story again, but when he did, there must have been some agreements behind the scene about allowing Togashi to publish chapters as he pleased, because the result is an author who was allowed to take multiple hiatuses around this unfortunate condition. Cut to 25 years later, and we have a manga series which has reached ridiculously impressive heights and is still going strong. Perhaps stronger than ever. Despite cutting out a really distinctive world, power system, set of characters, and story, Togashi decided in 2014 that he was going to embark on his largest project yet. The following video is about the Succession War, a small fragment of this beastly Dark Continent arc which sees the characters leave the human world altogether to face the source of the Lovecraftian terrors which have run through the series for so long. This arc's main aim was to create a plethora of over 100 characters and see what happens when he smashes them together. To do this, Togashi created this big boat, the Whale. It's 1.5 kilometers long, 800 meters wide and tall. For reference, the longest ship in the world was the USS Enterprise, a nuclear aircraft carrier which had a length of 342 meters, not even close to half the size of the Whale. This voyage is undertaken by the king of Kakin, Nasubi, but Nasubi is commissioning this trip for more nefarious reasons. With numerous legitimate heirs and illegitimate heirs, there is quite a guest list. The legitimate heirs are part of the coveted royal family, and the illegitimate ones have integrated into different mafias. Because of this 999 nature, the boat itself is split into several tiers. The legitimate heirs and the general royal family are situated in Tier 1, a separately massive cruise ship atop the Black Whale. Inside here are a couple hundred hunters like Kurapika, Hanzo, and Melody, though there's also a segment of these hunters who are on provisional licenses and, whilst aware of Nen, don't even have their own powers. These hunters are assigned to each of the princes as protection for this succession war, an easy way to find an heir through blood and violence. This is one of the two large wars that are happening in this ship, with the princes being Benjamin, the traditional eldest heir, Kamala, a stubborn and ego-driven lady, Zeng, a cool guy, Tubapa, a schemer, Tyson, an oblivious prince, Luzurus, an affable prince, Halkenberg, a noble prince, Fugetsu, another one, Mariam, a young boy, and Saraidnik, a murderous sociopath. Now, 3 princes are already dead. Momose is strangled to death by an unknown assailant, but we are led to believe that Benjamin is the propagator. Sail Sail is assassinated by Yusoshi, another of Benjamin's guards, and Kacho is killed by trying to leave the boat itself as a result of the curse of the succession contest. Nen involving death is a very powerful thing. One prince I didn't mention is Wobble. He's the youngest of the princes, merely a baby boy. Kurapika is assigned to this prince to protect him just as much as to protect his mother, Queen Oito. Some of the prince's guards like Kurapika are there to look after their prince, but obviously some of these princes are vulgar and unsavory characters. Theta and Salkov are the guards of Saraidnik, and Theta herself has been charged with the task of teaching Saraidnik Nen. Obviously this is a bit of a nightmare situation, and that's pretty much where we left off with her. This is Tier 1, and alongside the royal family there are V5's political VIPs, including Steiner, a man tasked to research the Dark Continent as an expert for the voyage. Probably the most fascinating job in the whole series, and I wish we cut to him more often, but yes, Tier 1 has so far been the main basis for the story, and so there are a bunch more ancillary characters which bring the count all the way up to 97. Yes, that's right, all the one-time named but only named, not counting random faces. That's 97 names on Tier 1. So, thankfully, Tier 2 is largely overlooked, housing mainly celebrities and prominent figures from the wealthy and upper class. From this point down, the ship is cut off from traversing. Everything below 2 is for the general public, so you can't go up from 3 and you can't go down from 2. Can't means there are thick gateway doors that only open under emergencies. So yes, at some point an emergency could break out and the gates could be opened, flooding those beneath into the rest of the ship. That would actually be quite fun to watch, not because of the kind of people that are in the lower decks, but because nobody is aware that there is a hunting game going on in Tier 1. The Succession War takes place in Tier 1, but it is permitted in Deck 2 as well. Deck 3 is the grounds for the second war that's about to erupt, with the remaining Zodiacs, bar Mizai Storm, Leoreo and Cheadle, there. The Hailey family is there and have been ordered to wreak havoc by their leader Marina. So from here on out, I'm going to be less specific about the tiers because they're always moving in this 4D game of chess, and I'm just going to list them out. We have the entirety of the spiders spread through tiers 3 and 4, the Shiyu family base of Longbow on tier 4, and the Char family of Broccoli on tier 5. A theory on Reddit really got into my head, so I'm hesitant to count if it's actually him, but Hisoka being on the ship would be 150 characters in all. 5 more ancillary characters are military guards apparently knowing to ride Nick and being friends with him, so that brings us to 155. Thankfully, the Spiders flashback gave us a little detour from all the introductions, but yes, that's 155 named characters so far. About 10 of them are dead already, and one of them may or may not actually even exist, but there you go. When read linearly, it's crazy how well Togashi has coped when it comes to telling this story, especially as he comes back to some characters that we thought we would never see again, and now they're becoming fan favorites. If he pulls it off, it could be the most unique arc of anything ever put to manga pages. 155 characters? About 100 of them being genuinely important in the active story. That's crazy. It's like Togashi wanted to accomplish what One Piece has over 20 years in a single arc. Which, in fairness, may genuinely take Togashi 20 years to finish as well. The current arc is one of the most promising pieces of fiction going on in my opinion. Togashi clearly wanted to see what happens when he throws together as many characters as possible, and the result is an absolute rollercoaster. It's the perfect kind of ambitious arc for someone like Togashi to attempt, as he gets so inventive with his panels, regularly fitting paragraphs upon paragraphs into them, or inserting a spine of tiny panels in one corner of the page. A page full of dialogue or a spread with a dozen images, Togashi's style has always been the type to tell tons of story in as effective a way as possible, so attempting to dangle the threads of over 100 characters at once is just the kind of prologue that an arc like the Dark Continent deserves. War has already broken out in Tier 1, with Kurapika already losing a ton of potential lifespan in Emperor time. The murdering sociopath is ridiculously proficient at Nen, it turns out. Benjamin is successfully picking off the princes one by one. Halkenberg is helpless to stop the ceremony, with King Nasubi guarding a strange tomb, presumably a device to crown the victor of the ceremony, with the concentrated power of all its competitors going to the victor. 3 princes are dead, and more will be soon. Below Tier 1, the Phantom Troop is looking for Hisoka, whilst the families want to take each other out and keep involving the troop with each other. The Spiders are teaming up with these vying gangsters as a distraction until Hisoka slips up and shows himself, but now they've embroiled themselves in a war steeped in alliances, and with this arc already offing 2 of the Spiders due to Hisoka's vendetta, along with the backstory of that group being revealed, there's no doubt that more of the Spiders are soon to depart as well. Togashi hasn't just made 2 sets of stories with this setup of the ship, he's made a Chekhov's gun out of the emergency gate, but until that gun goes off and no one can pass, he's dipped the fingers of a dozen characters in a million separate pies. The Zodiacs are spread from the first tier right through to the bottom, with different missions and being around different sets of people. He's certainly made a bit of a pickle for himself, but I'll get into that with the next video, the future of Hunter x Hunter, and whether or not this is even a series which can be divided and catered to in a better way than simply whenever Togashi is ready to serve it. But yes, Hunter x Hunter is no longer being published in Weekly Shonen Jump, and it remains to be seen what magazine it will appear in next, and for the rest of its run. So yeah, that's the entire scope of Hunter x Hunter and its craziest arc yet. If you want to see my analysis for the Dark Continent, the final arc, a theory on the ending, and where this arc is going, check out the world of Hunter x Hunter. But aside from that, that's pretty much everything for the status quo. Thanks for watching this video, and especially to my patrons. If you want to see more content and get every video early, then follow me there for $1 a month. Thank you for watching, and have a good night.